Hey everyone, welcome back to another series of ranking each hero in every synergy there is, and currently we are going to cover the Avengers. So the Avengers are probably the heroes that have the most fairly balanced rankings in my opinion so far. As you can see, there's a lot of heroes in the best in synergy, and that's because Avengers are one of the strongest PvP heroes in the game and one of the strongest factions in the game. This is primarily because they do have a lot of ult spammers and scalers. So for example, Aphrodite. We know why Aphrodite is good. That's because she applies Phantom Illusion on every ultimate she casts pretty much. And she casts her ultimate whenever a unit dies on the battlefield. She will basically cast her ultimate, or whenever there's a summon happening. And she does quite a decent chunk of damage, and each time she uses her ultimate, for every stack of debuffs removed, she will increase the attack by 10% up to 100 stacks. So she's also an insane attack scaler that also applies Phantom Illusion and basically casts ultimate every time there's something happening on the battlefield. So when activated her ultimate, she removes all debuffs from all allies. This is another broken interaction that she does. Although this being slightly outdated, it doesn't remove all the newest debuffs that currently exist and are primary in the battlefield, but it's still useful nonetheless. Her second skill is pretty much useless if we don't care about it, but yeah, she also inherits the stats from that target that she Phantom Illusions, so she will basically scale up a lot. And yeah, she's basically the best hero in the Avengers. And then second one is Isis. Isis isn't as scary as Aphrodite, but she scales insanely. So when Isis is alive, each time a unit dies or is revived, all allies gain 100,000 attack and 1 million HP up to 30 times. Now this wasn't as big until the Hunter's tree side got removed, so we got less 80 million HP now in season. So now flat stats are somewhat important on the heroes that before didn't really matter on it. So Isis, this part of passive didn't matter before, but now it's kind of impactful and is actually felt in the battle. Another thing that is scary from Isis is when a hero dies on the battlefield, Isis randomly summons one fallen hero from the battlefield as a spirit hero. Now, it's up to only max 8 summons, and the spirit hero will most of the times be weak and only die, unless it's someone like Leviathan revived that will also give your team its effect of reflect. So there are heroes that are for sure better, like reviving enemy Hela to your team will apply seal on the enemy team, so and also pledge to your team, although it's not as big because the spirit heroes don't have a lot of insane stats. So yeah, there are for sure heroes that are more beneficial when revived than the most, but nonetheless that part is scary because the spirit hero will summon, Aphrodite will use her ultimate, the spirit hero is very likely to die because of the non-existent stats it has, Aphrodite will use her ultimate again. And now you see why we are running Isis and Aphrodite together in a single team, because they're just purely made for each other. They're both Avengers, they're both Celestials, and both are Monarchs. So pretty much the two heroes that always belong together, but doesn't mean that you can't use them outside of Avengers or you can't use them on their own, because they're still great hero nonetheless. Then we have Narissa. Narissa is a pretty much solo carry. She only really requires synergy mates around her and doesn't really require a lot of buffs. So Narissa will basically spam her ultimates more times than Aphrodite will, so she can cast her ultimates up to 10 times a round, which is really insane, and she will increase the ultimate damage by 30% up to 400% whenever a summon appears or whenever an ally dies. So yeah, she's an insane scaler and that casts ultimates 10 times. She has a built-in sanctuary which basically negates the damage or has chance to negate it, and her legendary runes are absolutely insane. So each time Narissa revives, she gains 1 stack of Sanctuary. As we said, Sanctuary can block the incoming damage. Narissa immediately revives and restores 20% of max HP upon death, and this can trigger up to 4 times per battle. So her legendary runes paired with Unique and paired with the dodge on 12 stars make her an absolute Exodia in Phantoms. She's one of the core Avengers that basically nuke enemy teams without any issues. And yeah, just really requires 4 Phantoms and 4 Avengers for all those extra revivals, and that's so her ultimates can get going. Now, the newest hero, Primordial Arcdina. I didn't put her in any of these teams because I do believe she can fit both. So her purpose is to give your teams insane durability with the immortality passive. So she will make your allies immune to execute, whether it's Hades or whether it's Phoenix. She will give your team immortality. This is very important in both Aphrodite teams and in both Avenger Phantom teams, but I have seen and I have personally tested that Primordial Arcdina does far better in Aphrodite Isis team than she does on the Phantoms team. Mainly because she will make your team sustain for so long, she will allow all of your heroes to scale up, whether it's Isis or Aphrodite, they will scale up so much that the Primordial Arcdina enables them far better than she enables Phantoms. This also allows your Phantoms to use any of the Fate heroes, so Fate in synergy. Hela is obviously the best option. Her pledge will scale up Narissa and Janna so much, and obviously if you can't afford it, you can use Victoria, although not as good in my opinion as Hela. And then the last resource would be Cleopatra, which is still nice, honestly. It's not that bad at all. But yeah, using Primordial Arcdina, I would always suggest for now with Aphrodite and Isis for the extended survival and extended scaling. I forgot to mention, but Isis runes basically make her immortal. After an ally takes action, Isis increases her defense and max HP by 100%, stacking up to 50 times. If this gets Isis long enough to round 5, she will basically become immortal and she will basically solo all the battles up to round 15, and then the winner will be decided by the max HP result of the teams, or she will basically win on her own because her ult force makes her take action 2 times if she's 12 stars. So Isis is a whole pack of her own, but she's no better than Aphrodite. And Primordial Arcdina, I do believe she is worthy of the best in synergy. Although she is not a carry on her own, she provides insane sustain to all of the carries in this tier, so she can be ranked as equal. Then we go to the strong 5th hero. So most commonly Mavis was the strongest EV hero in the battle, in the game, but ever since the hunters got removed and we have no flat stats, I do believe that Mavis has fallen off, albeit you can still use her in the Steam, in the Monarchs team, but I personally do prefer Albert with his legendary runes. He's absolute menace, he's absolutely insane. Also, another thing that hurts Mavis is the 6 Avengers, because she doesn't really benefit from the increased HP and defense as much as Aphrodite and Isis do, for example, or even Arcdina or Albert. Isis is purely a hero that scales on attack and doesn't really scale off HP as 7 Avengers do. So 7 and 6 Avengers is pure defensive stats, which Mavis definitely hates. She hates that there's no flat stats applied at the start of the battle from the hunters, so she kind of lost her value in the teams for now, and I'm currently benching her even. So currently I'm running this version of Avengers or something similar. For example, something like this would be my best go-to Avengers with 7 Avengers and 4 Monarchs, giving insane scaling, or even Hela is better, but I do not own her X, so I must use Victoria. I do believe that this is one of the best teams you can make currently. You can also use Mavis, as I said, or even Hecate, it won't hurt you at all. As for the Phantoms, I do prefer these 4 Phantoms with Hela. I do believe they're the strongest, but you can use any version you want, or like you can even use Persephone. She fits this synergy so nice. She will do the job if you have her legendary runes. As for the relics, you want definitely the chest on this slot, so you can guarantee a cast of Magatama. If Magatama doesn't proc, it will not activate its last words effect, and then your heroes will basically waste their deaths. So you definitely need some energy relic to proc Magatama, and then you also want Umbra Torch for the HP scaling and fortitude. If the players don't have Phoenix, this will be great help to sustain your team and also grant Narissa more chances to ult. As for the relics in the Monarchs team, I prefer Banner, but I do often use Zephyr Spear. Although Zephyr Spear not a lot of players have nowadays, it's old relic that used to be the strongest relic, so this is the current setup I like. The only reason why I use Planar Gate is I believe that Avengers don't have a good second slot relic. A lot of players use Excalibur to boost up Aphrodite even more, but I do like the 3 Avengers relics star for the keeping the buffs on that, basically guaranteeing it. Although since the buffs only last for 1 round, it's mostly not that good, so a lot of players do run Excalibur to stun enemy team and boost Aphrodite even more. But as I said, I personally do like the setup. You can also use this, although Chaos Blades feels like you're wasting them because Banner already gives the Holy Shields and then the Gleipnir to increase the speed of all of your allies and also make them ult in the first round, which doesn't matter much, but it still helps. I do like Gleipnir on my Mystifiers though, so I do often just tend to use Hand of Tyr and basically be done with it. As for the artifact, I do like the position 1 HP to scale up my Aphrodite or Isis even further. And then for the Phantom Avengers, obviously you want the increased attack to all of them, so Relic's Magatama damage can deal additional damage because it scales off the hero's attack. Now for the other heroes like Althea, Hecate, Janna, Olbert, I mentioned them of how to use them and where, but they're pretty good heroes that are not primarily carries as these heroes, but they're still strong nonetheless, and they can dish out a lot of DPS, but they provide a good synergy to your teams. The second team being Ying Zheng, Persephone, and Fenrir. Fenrir you can use in this team mostly because Isis and Aphrodite do ult a lot, which gives Fenrir a lot more chances to scale up. You can also use Fenrir with the Narissa, which also ults a lot. So it's a pretty filler hero, but I wouldn't suggest using her. Although she's still better than majority of these heroes, but Lachesis can be unique and used if you have a goal in mind to use her to cleanse some debuffs enemy has and need to get it done. Although I would perhaps move Fenrir down here and keep Ying Zheng and Persephone there. Persephone, despite the dodge being not that big this season, is still a great hero nonetheless. As for the fillers, number 2, never run these heroes, they're absolutely terrible. Selene was one of the best heroes in Season 4 to Season 5, but his downfall was insane because the rounds in Rift Odyssey got cut by 15. We used to have Rift Odyssey rounds up to 30, but they got cut down to 15, so Selene took a massive nerf and his scaling was nowhere near compensated. For the Fate heroes, as I mentioned, Hela is by far the best hero in this synergy. Cleopatra is usable, but just a way worse version of Hela. And then Victoria if you have her X or if you want to use her in the Phantoms for the instant attack benefit, or even with Mavis because I did test and Victoria makes Mavis slightly better. Now, as for the honorable mention heroes, you can pretty much use any of these heroes. Most of them are monarchs, but you have seen in previous videos, pretty much all of these heroes are most flexible heroes in the game and can be used with any other hero. You can even use this, you can use Audrey, you can use Pandora. It really doesn't matter, you can fit in any. Also, Behemoth and Isis insane combo. Behemoth dies, she applies her stun bot, the stun bot dies, Isis revives it, and yeah, you have infinite stuns. Just a really nice combo to have taken a note of. Leviathan, one of the better heroes to fit in here for the counter of Aphrodite. Even if he has Leviathan and you don't, Aphrodite often tends to kill herself with her ultimate spam, so having Leviathan on your own to counter that is pretty nice. Victoria for the Monarch and for the Celestial, also good with Isis. If Victoria dies, Isis brings her back. With her legendary runes, she will bind up to 2 enemies, and given the Isis revival, this bind will keep reapplying. So yeah, overall you can use all of these heroes, you can't go wrong. Why is Liandra here, you might ask? Well, that's because Liandra is a hero that basically will summon minion on the start of the battle, and that Aphrodite will ult because the minion was summoned, so they're nice enablers. Also works with Narissa. Then we have some monarchs, and then we move to the phantom fillers, which are really nice. You can often use any phantom in this slot to fit in the synergy, Elmer being the great, Tiamat being one of the best because she will descale all of enemies to basically 0 and they won't deal any damage to you. Elohim is also amazing. I meant Tiamat, not sure if I said Elohim. But yeah, Elohim is also amazing because Narissa will ult so much and the Awaken will proc on her, giving her 400% attack and defense. So they work together real great. And then we can also use someone like Schrödinger or Marlena, but it's not preferred. Overall, you can use all of these heroes. Monarchs obviously would go with the first team, which is Monarch based, and then the Phantoms would obviously go to the second team, which is Avenger Phantom based. So yeah, that was it for today's video. These were the Avengers ranked from the best to the worst. Yeah, hopefully I have explained the best possible teams. If not, I will try to make them right now. So yeah, this is what I think is one of the best Avengers teams that you can make. And this is one of the best Avenger Phantoms teams that I think that you can make to have insane win rate with them and perform the best. If your Leviathan is busy, feel free to include anyone else, whether it's Audrey, Yorm, Victoria, Hela, Cleopatra, Behemoth, it really doesn't matter. whatever you have free, feel free to use it, even Mavis if needed. She can put in the work if she's feeling like it. If she's not, feel free to use Vittoria because of her guaranteed bind. And yeah, that's really it for today's video. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. Hopefully you have learned how to build teams. You can also use Hecate in here. She's pretty great, but not really ideal. But I would use her in position 3 because of the increased accuracy. And yeah, the minimal star level for all of these heroes would be 8 stars to unlock the Phantom Synergy. And the minimal usability for this team would be 8 stars, or rather 7 stars, 8 stars. Legendary runes 9 stars or even 7 stars perhaps, but 8 stars if you want to use her in Phantoms. And Hecate would be like 10 stars with epic runes. Hecate is really expensive unit and she doesn't provide a lot, and really has insane counters, like just one holy shield will block all of her damage. And given the lack of multi-actions, although she does insane damage, she just lacks actions in my opinion. And yeah, that was it for today's video. Hopefully you have learned how to do Avengers, how to build them. Daochan, why do I have legendary runes on her? Well, she's amazing and exceptional in Lost City, and I would perhaps even try her in PvP someday if there will be enchanters based team. But up until then, see you guys in the next one.